What's up, y'all? Sing it, player. I'm weak. Sing it. Sing that. Dang, you guys spamming tickers. You guys are spamming tickers. We're gonna look at some tickers. Disney, Circle, ARR growing for 2027 to 500 million. What is, bro? Look up ticker RZLV. Why, bro? You're really passionate about that, man. Let's check it out. RZ BA booming. Yeah, BA is definitely booming. RZLV. What is this? You know what's funny? This looks really good. I can see this going crazy. I can see this going crazy. Of course, this one, it's already out. Yeah, of course, this one, October 10th was like, I don't know what happened October 10th. I come in here and tell you guys all the time. I don't know what happened October 10th, but something happened October 10th because a lot of the small caps took a huge beating on October 10th and they never recovered from it. Okay, now I think, you know, I don't know what RZLV does, so I got to look into it. It says like AI, and I don't know what they do, but you're saying they look good and the chart looks good. I've seen charts like this actually do very, very well. Okay, so the best thing to do for a chart like this is to just see, the prices to get into, the prices to sell, etc. So if I'm looking at RZLV, the first thing that I do is to make sure that it starts trading back above $6. Okay, that's step one. That's step one. If it can trade above $6, then you have it getting back to all time highs, and then really you need $9, and then above $9, you're gonna start seeing this really start going above all time high price. We've seen this chart play out time and time again inside of this bull run, by the way. So I like it. It's only $1.5 billion market cap. So if it just gets to 4 billion in this market, I could easily see this sitting at all time highs and above because that'll put it at what, almost $10. So I think that's possible, especially if you're saying 500 annual recurring revenue. But I think it's okay. I think it's all right. I've seen these charts play out time and time again. Let's just say that. Somebody said Fuzzy Panda short report. It was a short report, but debunked. I don't know what you're talking about. Short report. Let's look at VZTR. What is VZTR, man? Or VSTR? It's not even showing up. You must have met MSTR. You probably met MSTR. Let's look at MSTR. To be honest, you don't even want to really look at MSTR, okay? But I will say, but I will say, this is the lowest RSI that MSTR has had. And these usually form at the bottoms. And the funny thing is, the same sort of pattern on the RSI is happening right here. So this is the lowest the RSI has been since it was $13. And some of you guys remember I came on here. I'll continue to say this because it was just so profound at the time. If you go to my TikTok, this is the first video. First of all, first video is a pinned video where I said MSTR was around 30. It was around $30. I was saying it's gonna get to 300, 500. And that was back when it was over here, and the RSI is at that low level again. So I can't say it's bearish. I just can't. I think Bitcoin is gonna have a phenomenal run. I think crypto is gonna have a phenomenal run. Now, the only thing to be paying attention to for something like MSTR, honestly, is to make sure that it can start closing weeklies above. Is that starts closing weeklies above 180? Okay, that's the main level to be paying attention to, 180, because then you're gonna get back above 200 plus, and that's where the fun can start again. But it needs to have a weekly close above 180, and you obviously need Bitcoin to continue doing what it's doing. Okay, so a lot of it relies on Bitcoin. I think crypto is very bullish in general. You have a huge weekly divergence playing out, like you see right here, huge hidden weekly bull divergence, which is even better than just regular bull divergence. So I like MSTR. It's just a matter of being patient, and that's why shares, that's why equity. If you like MSTR, I think it's good. RR. All right, let's look at RR. What's your play on IREN and ONDS? We'll look at IREN after we look at RR. Because I know a lot of you guys. But first, we have to run up the likes. We're only at 976 likes. Let's at least get to 3K before we really start getting into this stuff. But whoever said what is it, RZLV, I believe. Though this is the same sort of chart. But if you're looking at RR, for a lot of these small caps, okay, we're entering. If you don't know the structure of the market, if you don't know the narrative of the market right now and what we've been following, for the past 3 or 4 years, where we talked about the Qs being at the bottom, and we literally said the Qs going to 500, it's at 500. We said it was going to 600, it's at 600. I believe the price target on the Qs is to around 660, 670, or maybe even 680 during this bull cycle. But the main influx and the main thing to be paying attention to is, I believe, small caps, okay? Because small caps, IWM is going through a multi-year breakout, and it's just getting started. Let me show you. So, and this all basically should tell you this. I'm doing this because it should give you the confidence to be looking more into some of these small cap plays, and to give you the confidence to, this is what's happening in the market. You understand? So if you're looking at IWM, it's going through a multi-year breakout, okay? And this is something that we've talked about since it was down here, etc. Money is rotating, okay? It is now rotating into smaller cap stocks, into mid cap type of stocks. That's why you see IWM, which is the small cap ETF, breaking out from new all-time high after new all-time high. But if you go look at, if you go look at the Qs, right? The Qs has not broken out from a new all-time high since, October, right? Really September, really. Last year September, last year October is the last time we had an all-time highs on the Qs. But it's coming. But it's just showing you that money's rotating, okay, and it's been rotating, okay. And this is something that we talked about time and time again. So the expected price target on IWM is this 277. So what that means for RR, and what that means for a lot of these small caps, is that they're ready. They're ready. So if you liked RR back in October and you were looking to get RR, you're looking very bullish on it, you should be extremely bullish on it right here. You should be even more bullish than you were back in October. You got to be more bullish on these red candles. You got to be more bullish on these dip days when it goes down and it's consolidating. Like, you have the same sort of structure happening right here, and you literally just get a high, a low, and that's a consolidation. Then you get that breakout. I believe you're going to see the exact same thing. You're getting that high, you're getting the come down, you're getting that consolidation, and I believe you're going to get the real move that RR has always had inside of it, okay? This is a $750 million market cap? If this just gets to $2 billion, which is peanuts inside of a bull run, this is sitting at all-time highs, okay? So we're going to do the same thing where you drop from the high to the low that you see right here. And if you've been paying attention to the live, you know we had the rejection, and this is not only the party starts level, but this is also the victim level, okay? This is the party start / victim, okay? And by victim, I mean, if you're getting in the calls right here, you're gonna end up being a victim to the people taking profits and knowing that this is a huge level for it. Okay, now why is it a huge level? Because if it can get above the 618, the Fibonacci on the 618, it can then start marching back to the high where we took it, okay, which is all-time highs, $12, okay? So that's where the party starts. And then we know what we've seen during this entire thing. We could draw from the conclusion of what we've seen from, other stocks like Robinhood, or, other stocks like Palantir, or other stocks like SoFi, where they've done this exact same structure. They've gotten above the party start level, right? And then they start marching to IPO price. And what happens at IPO price is not a double top, okay? You don't get double tops in a bull market. So what normally happens is it enters in a price discovery. It normally just zooms above there, okay? I'm gonna show you an example. Okay, we've been on Robinhood since it was, a baby, but now it's all grown up. I still think it could get 200, but if you look at Robinhood, where did it go? It got back to its IPO price, right? First of all, we can just draw the fib, from right here to right here. Okay? It went a little bit above there, faked a lot of people out, and then came, this is the victim. Like I said, the victim or the party starts level. So this is why you always gotta, have confirmation on at least a couple of weeks on a weekly, or if not, like you're chasing. But if you look at right here, This is where it rejected the victim area, came all the way back down. This is where we were extremely bullish, telling you about August calls. Those August calls went absolutely nuclear. And then it got to the IPO price, okay? And what happened at the IPO price? We don't get double tops in the bull market. So then you got this going from 90 to 150, okay? And this is the same story for a lot of stocks, okay? This is the same structure that like Palantir is the main one. It went to, this is the IPO price. This is the IPO price. Or not the IPO price. I'm talking about the IPO high, okay? Like what it like we IPO'd in 2021 and then it made a high in 2021, which is the IPO, and then it came all the way. You understand? So the same sort of thing happened for Palantir. You had the IPO price right here, and then look what happened, okay? So when you're looking at RR, the same sort of thing I believe is gonna be said, okay? So you obviously needed above the party start victim level. Okay, some people were a victim right here, but I think it's going to be the party start level if we could get there again. Okay, and then it's going to get to IPO, right, which is 12, but we know we don't get double tops, so obviously I think this can really start flying, and we can really start adding big price targets, to 19, to even 31, to even 40. Okay, so let's just let this chart play out. I will say though, this is where if you're bullish, which I think the market's bullish, but if you're bullish, this is where you would want to be buying equity, okay? Equity is the safest option. I always recommend equity first, although this is just entertainment, okay? But I always recommend equity first, okay? If you want to be safe, if you want to be, decently safe, you would get some leaps, maybe some September calls or something. And if you want to gamble a little bit, you would just get like some February 20s or something. And those have obviously the highest reward, but also the highest risk, etc. Okay, but I think RR is incredible. This is where I'd be looking to buy. Okay, now what level does it need to break above to get out of the consolidation? It basically told you. You see where it rejected at today. This is why the Fibs is very important. You're gonna see me use this a lot during the stream. Okay, it came right here. This is the high of the Fibonacci I took. This is the low. And where did it reject? It rejected at the $4 level. Okay, literally perfection. Okay, so you could have, so you needed above $4 for then it to get to 5-ish, and then you really needed above like 5. Yeah, you really need above $5, and then you can start testing 565, and then like you got some small price targets to get above, and that's why I like looking at the bigger picture, because if you're looking at equity or leaps anyways, like you really want to look at the big picture. Anyways, that was a good overview. Okay, let's run the likes up a little bit more. I like RR. I do. I like it right here. I like all small caps right here, especially ones that went crazy. Especially ones that went crazy, in October and now have retraced. Somebody said the market is opening plus 1% tomorrow. Is it really? My boy Diego in here. There's always a victim, boys. First. Yeah, exactly. When you do your fib retracement, which high do you go off of? It all depends. Okay, like if I'm looking at the bigger picture, I'm always taking the highest, the highest from like right here. Okay, I'm taking like if I want to see like the biggest picture, and I know it IPO'd in 2020, like I know it has like if this IPO or if this is like Hershey, which is like 1960, like I wouldn't take it from there. I'd take it from like 2022, or when it made its peak. Like let me show you. I take it like if I was looking at Hershey, I wouldn't go way back here. I wouldn't go way back here and do the fib, okay? I would do it let's say I was trading in 2009 when all this was happening. I would take it from the high right here to the low that it had right here. Understand? I would take it from the high right here to the low that I had right here, and you can see that you get, once it broke above, you got all this consolidation, and this is the party start level or the victim level. You got a bunch of victim level like right here, like it kind of just wicked above, But once it got above, you got some monthly close above there, and then this is basically where it told you, oh yeah, it's gonna retest all-time highs, and that's exactly what it did, all-time highs. And in the bull market, like this market was in 2012, you don't get double tops. You get, actually, that's when it enters in a price discovery, and that's where you got Hershey, really going crazy. So the same thing can be said for Hershey, even right now. You take the high to the low, and Hershey 223 is the party start level, and that's where you understand. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, let's move on. Let's look at some different stocks. Can you use fib on Meta? Yeah, we're gonna use fib on Meta. Okay. You said this is the next. The next AMAT, I believe you. This chart is incredible. It's, what is it, 15 billion? What is AMAT at? Oh my goodness. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. What is this at? 253 billion? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I remember looking at this back in, that's nuts. Nobody's talking about AMAT. I need to put this on my watch so this thing moves. Is it really the next AMAT? Could be. Could be. Sure does look like it, especially this trend that you're seeing right here. I like it, but yeah, I like it. Let me see. Was this April? Then it seems back at. Let me see. You see what we just did? Obviously, it's clear-wise reject right here, so it needs above, this fib, which is around 274. It wicked above there this week, but ultimately it looks like it's going to close below unless you get a huge pop tomorrow. So I'd be looking at right here. That basically tells you it'll be ready to, if it can get back above 274, it's basically ready to get back to 300. Okay, so I like it. This is a huge level for it, so it may just pull an AMAT. It may. It looks similar. Like if we took a screenshot of this right here and then we went to go look at AMAT from back here, right? Which isn't really like the biggest dump, but it gave you a little dump. You could say. It could be in something. It could. I'm not saying it can't, but I needed about 274. Let's look at Meta. Let's look at Meta for my boy. All right, let's look at Meta. So if you look at Meta, the first thing you have to know is, like, the first thing that I like to look at is to make sure that, okay, is this in a bull trend, like, to the upside? Is it bullish big picture? And I think Meta is bullish big picture, especially when we look at the monthly. The monthly is literally hidden bull divergence. So a monthly hidden bull divergence, obviously, it's not gonna take place tomorrow. Like this is a trend setup, or this is a setup that will probably take a couple of weeks to 3-4 weeks. We saw Apple, right? Like, let me just see how long Apple took from that monthly hidden divergence. And hidden divergence is just when the price is making a lower high, or the RSI is making a lower low, but the price is making a higher high, like you saw right here, okay? And that setup that we saw take place for, really it formed in May. It formed in May, consolidated in June, tried getting its legs under it in July, and then finally took off in August and October, and this thing really went crazy. So that took what? 1, 2, 3, 4 months before it really got started. I would really say 3, just because the 4th month it went crazy. So for Meta, you're seeing the same sort of thing, right? It formed the hidden divergence right here, literally almost the exact same thing, okay? Hidden divergence right here, lower low, but this is making a higher high. It did the same thing over here as well, if you've been paying attention. Lower low right here, right? Lower low right here, and then this one actually formed it in 1 month. So Meta moves differently. This is not all price action is the same price action, okay? Not all stocks move the exact same, and Apple is a slower mover. So Meta could play out quicker than Apple did, okay? But if you look at this thing formed a hidden bull divergence, and it only took 3 months before it got back to all-time highs. This thing is forming an even deeper hidden divergence, lower low, and what you're getting is one month consolidation, 2 month consolidation. It's on its 3rd month of consolidation in the hidden bull divergence. So I think bigger picture, Meta looks to me like it's ready to get to 800. But make no mistake, once it gets to 800, this thing is then forming like a negative divergence. Okay, so I think Meta, like, the next pop, like once it gets to 800, maybe 820, 830, like, you definitely don't want to be in Meta. But that's a topic for a different day. But if we're just looking at this smaller thing as well, first of all, why did this go down? Okay, we talked about this. And I'm just gonna look at it really quick because maybe the same person in here. But we looked at Meta, like I think Monday or Sunday. Okay, we looked at Meta Sunday, And he was like, "What's Meta about to do? Is Meta?" And I was like, "It's making these higher lows. Okay, so a slip and slide is bound to happen. That was when it was at like 648, 645, and then it slip and slide all the way down to 616. But I think Meta's actually gonna close this week above 621, just based on this being in the fib. Okay, I mean, look at it's in the bounce area, so there's no reason to really sell right here. You might get a sweep, maybe below, but if this thing breaks 620, rarely do you see double bottoms. So this could really start heading to 560. This could really be bearish, and could that happen with earnings in 13 days? The earnings is in 13 days. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think Meta, like, you're kind of like, this isn't even a stock that I'd really look at for a bigger, like, if I was looking to get like some March calls, I wouldn't even do it just because they have earnings. I like stocks that have already had their earnings. Like, you don't have to worry about it for like 80, 90 days. Okay. Because then you could just rely heavily on the chart on TA. But with Meta earnings coming up, like now you have to rely on what Zuck says, or what how their performance was, etc. So if we're just looking at TA though, TA tells me that this is bullish. Monthly looks good. Everything looks good, especially for this bounce at 621. This is the buying area. There's no way, like, even if you look right here, this is where it bounced heavily right here. This is where you got that rejection, and then that's where you got that broken above, went crazy. So this is a big level that Meta is at. Okay, huge level that Meta is at. So it's make or break right here. Earnings is in 13 days. This is, to me personally, this is a no touch type of stock where it currently sits. It's a no touch, but if I had to say something, it's bullish. Anyways, let's move on. Put in the comments stocks you guys want to look at. We'll look at them. Oh yeah, we're gonna look at IREN tomorrow. I'm doing Tesla puts. Hood calls at open. 0 days. Hey man, let's gamble. Let's roll the dice. Let me blow on your dice. There you go, bro. There you go. There you go. All right. Anyway, if you look at IREN, okay? If you look at IREN, it is now in victim territory, or it's not even really party start territory. Like, party start really, like I said, the party starts if you could take the high to the low. Party starts. I would say the victim territory is really at like 60. Let's move this up. Victim territory is really at 60, but this is a rejection as well, I believe, from just this fib. So, but victim territory is right here. So either you really want to see IREN, like IREN has some resistances to break above before it can really start marching to 60 and all-time highs, etc. Before you could really call this back bullish, before you could really say we're back. IREN needs above $60. Okay, it needs to get above the victim territory and the party start territory. It needs to get back above here. Okay. If not, it's just bearish. Like it's in a bearish trend where it's making these higher low. So really, if I'm looking at IREN, it rejected 55 today, which makes sense. That was a rejection. Are you buying this dip? I don't know. So those are a few things you have to decide, but I'm not really seeing, like, you really wanted to get in IREN, back here, even like like it gave you so many entries, and now that it's up here, like there's no way I would tell you to get into, you missed prime time entries. Now it's sitting at resistances 55 and 60. You understand? So I think it's okay. You really want to see this above 55, then it can start getting to 60, and it's currently let's see what it's doing. It's currently having a hard time breaking above where it needs to break above to get to 60. Nasty consolidation, hidden bear divergence. Some of you guys don't even know what that is. Yes, there's hidden bear divergence too, which we'll be looking at a whole lot when the market actually does reverse. But hidden bear divergence, the price made a higher high right here, but this made a lower high, and you see, and this is on hourly, so it's gonna play out quickly, and you see what happened. You got that huge red candle right there, right? So I think the time to get into IREN was on Monday, or really last week. Up here, for me, it's a no touch. But ultimately, like if we're looking at the bigger picture, which we always have to look at, I'm actually long term bullish on something like IRA, just because I know small caps are not done. I know Bitcoin is not done. But in the meantime, like I don't want to sit here and really you shouldn't anyway. You really shouldn't get into some weeklies tomorrow, or say get into some calls for next week. So if I'm looking at IRA, I would be looking at nothing less than like some May 65 or something. You understand? Because then you have enough time to recover, and you can be patient, and But really, like you wanted to get into it last week. All right. Anyways, let's move on. Target, VST, Billy to the moon. Yeah, Billy's going crazy. Silv, too late for silver. I'm not gonna look at silver just because it's too late. You're kind of getting into it. Global X silver miners. But I will say, this isn't anything that I'd short. This isn't anything that I really would touch. I definitely wouldn't short. I'd be looking to get it at on a dip, or if I'm bullish on it, if I want to get into it. But when it's pumped up way up here, you're better off waiting for something like this to happen, or something even like this to happen, or you really want to wait for a red day. If you're bullish, and there's no way I'd short something like silver right now. I think the market's too hot. But instead, I'd get into something like BMNR. I'll get never mind. Silver puts, I don't know about that one. You may get the market is the market. You may get into some silver. Silver may have a red day tomorrow, but bigger picture, has it topped? That's I don't know. First of all, I don't know, but I wouldn't if I think the market. Target is very good. Target is if you're in the Discord, we've been making money on Target. We got into some Target options, some Target equity. I think Target is just a buy. Okay, this isn't one that I. This is why in the Discord I said I'm buying Target equity. Okay, this is I'm holding for forever type of stuff, because I believe in Target, and I shop at like Target is a much better atmosphere for me personally than Walmart, and Walmart's almost at $1 trillion. The only real competitor, not even competitor, but the only other store that people talk about, let's just be honest, is Target. Like what? And then you have like some smaller stores, like Hy-Vee. Some of you guys know like Hy-Vee or In-House. But really like mega stores, like Target is a mega store. And when you're getting it at a huge discount, like you are right here at $90, and now it's at $111, and this was trading at $259 in 2021. I'm telling you right now, these superstores, these retail giants, they're getting back bid into, okay? And that's been very, 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 very obvious. Very, very obvious if you've been paying attention to the market at all. So if I'm looking at Target, the next target, if I'm looking at Target, the next target, it looks like it's to 121. Okay, so Target is about to put in a massive leg here. It's to 121, and then you have 129. I love Target. I think equity is possibly better. I would just buy some equity. Buy a share. Buy 2 shares. Buy 3 shares, and start your foundation. Okay, or build onto your foundation. I think it's just an equity buy. Now trading, we got into a trade. We got into like some January 16th 105s for like $60, and now they're trading for $500. But that was like 2 weeks ago before this really started pumping. Okay, but I like Target. I think it's great. And this is a trend that I definitely wouldn't short. It reminds me of Starbucks. Like Starbucks is another one that are just good equity buys. Like if I'm looking to get into, if I'm looking to add on to my foundation, if I'm looking to add on to something, I'm looking at Starbucks. I'm looking at Target. I'm looking even at maybe Nike. You understand? I'm looking at Disney. Like somebody wanted to look at Disney earlier. I'm looking at those type of stocks because they're undervalued. They're undervalued right now. Okay, undervalued meaning they have massive pull in the world that right now. Everybody knows about them, but they're trading lower because we're in an AI bubble, obviously. But you gotta when stocks are pumped up, when you have Nvidia, all the way up here, money's looking to rotate like you're seeing right now. Okay, so money's rotating out of the Nvidia giants, out of the Google giants, out of a lot of tech, and they're coming back into small caps, and they're coming back into lower value retail type of stocks, and that's just what bull markets do. Okay, they start, that's just what bull markets do. Okay. But now at the tail end, what you're seeing is small caps and even dividend kings like Hershey's getting bid up. You know, I bet you Pepsi's about. I bet you Pepsi is rising. I bet you Coca Cola's going. You know, so money's rotating into some of these dividend kings, and that's just the market is the market, okay? But anyways, I appreciate you guys all for tuning into the live. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to some of you guys' tickers that you wanted to look at due to my yapping, but I'm gonna be live again. Like I think the next live is on Sunday. Everything that you need is link in the bio, anyways. And I'll talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys next time, man. This is a good live stream. Affirm is amazing. I love me some Affirm. I love me Affirm. I think Affirm is gonna perform very, very good. So whoever said Affirm, I think Affirm is very. I think Affirm can start marching its way to 174. Now, obviously, it hasn't gotten above the party start level, right? You need it above the party start level, aka the victim level. Some people were the party start level, aka the victim level, is hilarious because the party start like that's where the party starts. But if you jump the gun, if you don't wait for those weekly candle closes, which sometimes I don't either, you're gonna end up being a victim, okay? And you got a whole lot of victims on a firm right here. You got a whole lot of victims. This thing came up $85 and then went to 72. But lo and behold, this is actually where you want to buy. Okay, this is the perfect buying area. Okay, if you miss this pump, this is where you want to try to get into it. This is where you want to buy some time on it. No roach contracts. You know, professional contracts. Okay, you want to get into something very professional. Okay, you want to professional equity maybe. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, man. I'm out. Peace.